My sister-in-law wore my custom wedding dress as a Halloween costume. It came back ruined, so my husband froze her college fund until she paid me back. My wedding dress wasn't just a dress. It was a masterpiece of lace, silk, and memories that my grandmother had helped design before she passed away. Every stitch, every bead, every layer of tulle held significance. I had spent months working with a designer to bring my grandmother's sketches to life, incorporating elements from my mother's wedding dress as well. The final creation was breathtaking. A timeless A-line silhouette with delicate cap sleeves, intricate floral patterns hand-sewn along the bodice, and a train that seemed to float like clouds behind me. When I married Michael, I thought I was gaining not just a husband but an extended family. His parents were warm and welcoming, and his sister Chloe, then 17, seemed genuinely happy for us. At the reception, Chloe had even whispered in my ear, "I've never seen my brothers so happy. You're perfect for each other." The first year of our marriage was idyllic. Michael and I settled into our home, built our careers, and enjoyed weekend trips and quiet evenings together. Chloe would occasionally come over for dinner, and while we weren't best friends, we maintained a pleasant relationship. She was a typical teenager, sometimes moody, sometimes sweet, but generally respectful. What I didn't know was that Chloe harbored a growing resentment toward me. It wasn't until much later that Michael confided in me that Chloe had always been the center of attention in their family. With my arrival, she felt displaced, especially since Michael and I had decided to start planning for a family much sooner than his parents had expected. 2 years into our marriage, Michael and I were preparing to celebrate our anniversary with a small party at home. I wanted to wear my wedding dress again, just for a few minutes, to recreate our first dance. When I went to the closet in our spare room, where I kept the dress carefully preserved in its garment bag, I immediately noticed something was wrong. The bag was unzipped slightly, which was unusual since I always made sure it was completely sealed. My heart started pounding as I carefully pulled the bag out and unzipped it fully. The dress was gone. Panic surged through me as I tore apart the closet, hoping I had simply moved it and forgotten. But it was nowhere to be found. I called Michael at work, my voice trembling. "Michael, I can't find my wedding dress," I said, trying to hold back tears. "What do you mean? It should be in the spare room closet," he replied, confusion evident in his voice. "It's not there. The garment bag is empty." Michael came home immediately, and we searched the entire house. As we stood in the spare room, frustration and worry etched on Michael's face. He suddenly had a thought. "Chloe was here last weekend to study while we were at your parents' house. Could she have?" I shook my head. "No, she wouldn't. She knows how much that dress means to me." But Michael was already dialing his sister's number. When she answered, he put it on speakerphone. "Chloe, have you seen the wedding dress?" he asked directly. There was a pause before she answered. "What wedding dress?" "My wife's wedding dress. It was in the spare room closet, and now it's missing." "Oh, that," she said, her voice suddenly casual. "Yeah, I borrowed it." "Borrowed it?" I couldn't keep the shock out of my voice. "For what?" "It's Halloween this weekend," she explained. "I'm going to a party, and I needed a costume. I thought it would be perfect to go as a bride." Michael and I exchanged horrified looks. "Chloe, that's not a costume," Michael said, his voice tight with anger. "That's an irreplaceable wedding dress that means the world to my wife. You need to bring it back right now." I will, she said breezily. "After the party. Don't worry, I'll be careful with it." Before Michael could respond, she hung up. The next 48 hours were agonizing. I barely slept, imagining all the terrible things that could happen to my dress at a college Halloween party. Michael tried to reassure me, but I could see he was equally concerned. On Halloween night, I couldn't stand waiting any longer. "I'm going to get the dress," I announced, grabbing my car keys. "I'll come with you," Michael said, already putting on his shoes. We drove to the off-campus apartment where Chloe was attending the party. The music was thumping, and the place was packed with costumed college students. We pushed our way through the crowd, searching for Chloe, and then we saw her. There she was, in the middle of the dance floor, wearing my wedding dress. But it wasn't the beautiful, elegant gown I had worn on my wedding day. She had altered it, cutting off the train, shortening the hem to show off her knee-high boots, and adding cheap plastic spiders and fake bloodstains to make it look zombie bride appropriate. My breath caught in my throat, and I felt Michael's hand tighten around mine. The delicate lace was torn in several places, and one of the cap sleeves was barely hanging on by a few threads. "Chloe," Michael shouted over the music. She turned, her face lighting up when she saw us until she registered our expressions. "What? Don't I look amazing?" She twirled, completely oblivious to the destruction she had caused. "What have you done?" I whispered, my voice choked with emotion. "It's just a dress," she said with a shrug. "I made it look cooler for the party." Michael stepped forward, his face dark with anger. "That wasn't just a dress. It was your sister-in-law's custom wedding dress that held immense sentimental value. You had no right to take it, let alone alter it." Chloe's expression shifted from carefree to defensive. "It's not like you were using it. And it's just fabric. I'll pay you back or whatever." "Pay me back." I finally found my voice. "You can't pay me back for this, Chloe. This dress was designed with my late grandmother's input. It incorporated elements from my mother's dress. It was irreplaceable." The people around us had stopped dancing, watching the confrontation unfold. Chloe's face flushed with embarrassment, but she stood her ground. "You're overreacting. It's just a stupid dress." Michael grabbed her arm. "We're leaving. Now. And you're bringing the dress with us." Back at our apartment, the full extent of the damage became even more apparent. The dress was stained with what looked like red wine and makeup. The intricate beadwork was missing in places, and the alterations Chloe had made were crude and irreversible. I sat on the floor, holding the ruined dress in my hands, tears streaming down my face. Michael knelt beside me, his expression a mixture of anger and sadness. "I'm so sorry," he said softly. "I had no idea she would do something like this." The next morning, Chloe came over, looking more subdued than the night before, but still defensive. "I came to get my phone that I left here," she said, avoiding eye contact with me. "We need to talk about the dress," Michael said, his voice calm but firm. "I said I'd pay for it," Chloe replied, her tone impatient. "How much was it? A few thousand? I can get a job and pay you back eventually." "This dress was custom-made," I explained, trying to keep my emotions in check. "The materials alone cost over $8,000. With the design work and the sentimental value, it's priceless. You can't just pay me back for this." Chloe rolled her eyes. "That's ridiculous. No dress is worth that much money." Michael stood up, his posture rigid. "Chloe, what you did was not just disrespectful. It was destructive and cruel. You took something that meant the world to your sister-in-law and destroyed it without a second thought." "It was just a prank," she exclaimed. "I didn't think you'd get this upset." "A prank?" I repeated, incredulous. "Ruining my wedding dress was a prank to you?" Chloe crossed her arms, defensive. "You're not the only one with feelings, you know. Ever since you married Michael, I've been pushed aside. You're always the center of attention. I just wanted to feel special for one night." Her confession caught me off guard. "Chloe, that's not true. We love having you around. Your family." "Really? When was the last time we did something just the two of us? When was the last time you asked about my life, my dreams, anything?" she challenged. I had no response because she was right. I had been so wrapped up in my own life and my marriage that I hadn't made much effort to connect with her beyond surface-level interactions. "That doesn't excuse what you did," Michael said firmly. "But we can talk about your feelings later. Right now, we need to address the fact that you destroyed property that was both valuable and irreplaceable." As the days passed, Chloe's initial remorse seemed to fade, replaced by resentment. She made no effort to apologize sincerely or discuss how she might make amends. Meanwhile, I found myself sinking into a depression every time I looked at the ruined dress. One evening, Michael came home from work with a determined look on his face. "I've been thinking about how to handle this situation with Chloe," he said, sitting down next to me on the couch. "What do you mean?" I asked. "She needs to understand that actions have consequences, and she needs to take responsibility for what she did." I nodded. "I agree, but I don't know what kind of consequence would be appropriate." Michael took a deep breath. "I've decided to freeze her college fund until she pays you back for the dress." My eyes widened. "Michael, that's extreme. That's her education. It's a trust fund that our parents set up," he explained. "I'm one of the trustees, along with our parents. I have the authority to freeze withdrawals. And before you object, hear me out." He leaned forward, his expression earnest. "Chloe is 19 years old. She's an adult. She made a conscious decision to take your dress, alter it, and ruin it. She showed no genuine remorse and acted entitled. If she doesn't learn now that there are real consequences for her actions, she'll never learn. But taking away her education. I trailed off. It's not taking it away permanently, Michael clarified. It's freezing it until she takes responsibility and makes this right. The money will still be there once she reimburses you for the dress. And frankly, if she values partying and costumes more than her education, maybe she needs a wake-up call. I was conflicted. On one hand, the punishment seemed harsh. On the other, I understood Michael's frustration and his desire to protect me. What did your parents say? I asked. I haven't told them yet, he admitted. I wanted to talk to you first. The next day, Michael called his parents and explained the situation. As expected, they were shocked and disappointed in Chloe's behavior. While his mother thought freezing the college fund was too extreme, his father agreed with Michael that Chloe needed to face serious consequences. When Michael told Chloe about his decision, she was furious. You can't do that, she screamed over the phone. That's my money. I need it for tuition next semester. Then you should have thought about that before you destroyed your sister-in-law's wedding dress, Michael replied calmly. The fund is frozen until you pay her back. The full value of the dress, which was appraised at $12,500. That's insane, Chloe yelled. I don't have that kind of money. Then you'd better start figuring out how to earn it, Michael said before hanging up. The following months were tense. Chloe moved out of her parents' house and in with a friend, refusing to speak to Michael or me. His parents were caught in the middle, trying to mediate while also dealing with their daughter's anger and defiance. I struggled with guilt over the situation. Part of me felt that the punishment was too severe, regardless of what Chloe had done. I found myself looking at the ruined dress, wondering if it was worth causing such a rift in the family. Michael, however, remained resolute. She brought this on herself, he told me one evening as we sat in silence. And it's not just about the dress. It's about respect, boundaries, and consequences. But what if this damages your relationship with her permanently? I worried. Sometimes, tough love is the only way to make someone see the error of their ways, he said softly. I hope it doesn't come to that, but I won't back down on this. As the weeks turned into months, Chloe's life began to unravel without the financial safety net of her college fund. She dropped out of her classes and took a job as a waitress, struggling to make ends meet. According to Michael's parents, she was miserable but still too proud to admit she was wrong. Then, one day, about 6 months after the incident, Chloe showed up at our door. She looked tired and worn, but there was a new humility in her eyes. Can I come in? She asked quietly. I nodded, stepping aside to let her enter. Michael came out of the study, surprised to see his sister standing in our living room. I've been thinking a lot about what I did, Chloe began, her voice trembling slightly. And I want to apologize. Not because I want my college fund unfrozen, but because I genuinely realize how horrible my actions were. She looked directly at me, tears welling in her eyes. I'm so sorry for what I did to your dress. I knew how much it meant to you, and I was selfish and jealous. I had no right to take it, let alone ruin it. There's no excuse for my behavior. I felt tears pricking my own eyes. Thank you for apologizing, Chloe. That means a lot to me. I've been working and saving, she continued. I don't have the full amount yet, but I've managed to put aside $3,000. I brought the first payment today. She handed me an envelope. I opened it to find a check and a letter she had written, expressing her remorse in detail. Michael looked at his sister, his expression softening. We appreciate this, Chloe. Really. I know I don't deserve it, she said. But when I've paid back the full amount, would you consider unfreezing my college fund? I want to go back to school, and I've learned my lesson about taking things for granted. Michael nodded. Of course. That was the agreement all along. Over the next year, Chloe worked diligently to pay off her debt. She took on a second job, cut back on unnecessary expenses, and made regular payments to me. With each payment, she brought a small gift or a handwritten note expressing her continued remorse. Slowly, we began to rebuild our relationship. I made an effort to get to know Chloe better, to ask about her life, her interests, and her dreams. In turn, she showed genuine interest in my life and even helped me start a small business creating custom keepsakes for brides who wanted to preserve their wedding memories in unique ways. When Chloe made her final payment, exactly 1 year after she had first apologized, Michael officially unfroze her college fund. By that time, she had saved enough to cover her upcoming semester and had even been accepted into a program she was passionate about. Fashion design, ironically. I want to create beautiful things that make people feel special, not destroy things that are already meaningful, she explained when she told us about her new career path. On the 2-year anniversary of the dress incident, Chloe surprised me with a gift. It was a beautiful shadow box containing a piece of the lace from my ruined wedding dress, artfully arranged with our wedding photo and a small note that read, "From destruction, new growth emerges." I cried as I hugged her, feeling the weight of the past finally lifting. "I know I can never replace what I took from you," Chloe whispered, "but I hope you know how sorry I am and how much I've grown from this experience." "I know," I said, holding her tightly, "and I'm so proud of the person you've become." That evening, as Michael, Chloe, and I sat around the dinner table, I realized that sometimes the most painful experiences can lead to the most meaningful growth. While I would always miss my wedding dress and the memories it held, I had gained something far more valuable, a renewed relationship with my sister-in-law and the knowledge that forgiveness and accountability can heal even the deepest wounds. As we laughed and shared stories, I thought about how far we had come, from anger and resentment to understanding and love. And I knew that while the dress was ruined, our family had been made stronger through the challenge of rebuilding what was broken.